Hello and welcome to What If Civilization Started Over Episode 1. This is a series where the world has been reset and civilization has started over. So no modern technology, the world's restarted. It's like a reset. And over time, we'll see countries rise, countries fall, and world wars. But that's in the future. For now, let's get started at what happens in the first few years of humanity. Humanity will start, I would say, here. Because they do start somewhere around here in real life. So a couple of years pass. No one's in big enough groups to become a country. And then we have our first country. Now they don't have a name yet. So they're just kind of a group of people that came together. And they send out little expeditions around to find more people. Now this is not a territory, so remove that. And they start going around the coast, as the coast is a very important area, as most of all of this is just desert. Now, over time, they become a bit stronger and slowly start going a bit more inland. And they start heading more north. And they see a land off in the distance. Now, they can't travel through sea yet. So they just look at this. And they now know that there's more stuff all the way around here. So right now the people that design maps and stuff, they're like making this into an island because the people think that they are on an island. I mean, does a bit look like an island if you just remove all of this off. But from their point of view, all they see is all of this. That's all they see. So they think that they're on an island, something like mat shape. Then they think there's a more bigger island right here. That's all they know. So they start to think that it's a bit more pleasant up here. So they start going up, knowing that eventually they have to come back around, but whatever. And then they don't come back around. Find another big section. And they keep on going, thinking that they're going to wrap around. And then once they map it out, they see that the civilization is in a bit like a that shape. So they keep on going, then wraps around there. Now they're starting to realise that this is what, well, they think is one big island. now there are theories that it looks something like this. Something like that. So then they start heading more north to test their theory. Start going as north as possible, but then they run out of resources, so they can't continue. And then the first development has been made. Boats. They land up here. They land on the little small islands. And this really strengthens them. Become a bigger country. They get more food. More wealthy. They start inching up again. And then they lose all money again. So they decided to move all the stuff up here. And now the first big cities. Now, you see, the thing is that this red country that has no name yet is kind of upset. About that the biggest cities are over down here when they want to start exploring up here. So they're a little upset about that. Now what can they do? Pour all the money to this region and make as many cities here as possible. Which takes a few years, a few hundreds of years. But they do eventually start making a lot of cities around here. Fortunately though, the biggest city is right here. So they're still a bit upset because they did start moving all the cities up here. But the biggest city is still somewhat south, not north. So they're a bit salty about it, but they decide to put the capital city there anyways. That's too big of a brush size. And there is the first capital city. So, after a couple of years that they've got more strength, they finally get a few more resources to start exploring up here. So, they do. And they found it. They're on an island. As what they think. Like what I was saying, they start and find out they're on an island. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. So they start going around this area to start going around the coast, and then they find out there's no island. So they go up and they say, "Oh, we're on an island." So they go around the coast. This time the more trustworthy. They go around and meet up back with themselves. Oh well. So they start exploring up here. They get to like around here, but they don't want to claim it, so they just do stuff around here and start strengthening its connection with up there. And we're starting to see this country is growing pretty big. It's a pretty big nation. And now, back then, it was pretty hard to make a big country. So, you could see that it's kind of hard to get down to these regions. So they're putting all the money in these regions. And the final nail in the coffin is that they move the capital city. They move it to here. Now, you might be wondering, why is this the final nail in the coffin? Because now the southern area now officially knows that they're not really needed anymore, because they've moved the capital city over here, they're moving all the resources over here, and slowly these cities down here are slowly starving, even though there's more and more of them. There's one here, there's one here, there's one here, there's one here, one here, one here. And you kind of see the problem. There's loads of cities down here, few cities up here, yet these cities are getting more resources than this area. This area is working for these areas, and these areas are not getting anything from giving free stuff to these areas. So a bunch of people get up together and decide enough is enough. They are going to start their own country. So that's what they do. The first cities ever created revolt. And slowly at first, they start expanding. What on earth is that? Like I was saying, they were slowly expanding and taking all the major cities down here, and they start talking to these two major cities. It takes a few weeks to get to these. In fact, they can't even access them because of the red country's military. They were hinted off that a revolution might be happening over here. Well, they kind of just guessed, so they started developing weapons. And sure enough, the revolution started, and they're now doing a little blockade that looks something like this. So they can only reach these two cities. This one isn't defended enough. So they only managed to capture this city before they're blocked off from this one. Start expanding. Now they starting to get stronger. They capture a very useful area over here, which is starting to starve these areas up here. Now they're getting a bit upset because this area is now starving them, who want to go more north, but now they can't because of these areas. So they start taking things very violent. They start pushing as hard as possible down here, capturing a major city and threatening this one. Now that isn't okay for the blue country. So they put most of the weapons and resources into capturing this major city and get it. Now, this has put a very big wound in the Red Country, because this country is one of the most important countries. Sorry, not country. This city is the most important city. This is the second most, and third most, and fourth most, and fifth most. And then 6th, 7th, 8th is up here. Middle around here. Actually, this is like 4th place. But it puts a big wound on the Red Country. And the worst thing is that the Blue Country is starting to cut them off this area. And they managed to split the Red Country in half. However, the Red Country pushes back a lot. Like, a lot. Threatening the most important country ever. I keep on calling them countries. Most important city ever. Now, the blue country needs to do something, otherwise they're going to be history. What's the best way to do that? Get some other help. AKA, they finally managed to reach these cities. And, oh boy, they are in. They revolt. And there's not much up here. There's only little towns down here. So they easily managed to take over this entire southern peninsula. Even taking this island. And they start trying to push a lot of stuff to reclaim the city. And they're pushing up here rather than down here. It's because they're landing the first hit from here. So all the armies will be on this side of the city. Then, once the other army comes, the city is pretty much surrounded and it falls. Now, that was a loss of the red team's military, so they get pushed back a lot. And since there's not much down here, they start taking all of this. And now the Red Country is definitely starting to feel the pain of this Blue Country. And now this. Now another area split off. It is this little bit up here. So the Red Country is starting to lose control over this. So it's more hard to send boats up here. So it's starting to get a little independent. And the Blue Country will split the Red Country in half. And this completely starves this area out. So, well, except for this city. This is the biggest city in the world, actually. The second biggest is down here. The third biggest is now officially the capital. The Blue Country decides to make the capital official. Put it right in the first city that revolted. So, there's a little bit of a problem. The red country is starting to fall apart because, well, they just lost their entire south area. And so they're losing claims over here to Asia. So, starting to lose a lot of money. And so they kind of have to just abandon most of the land over here. So they kind of just lose this area. Slowly over time, they just lose control over it. Since they don't really need it as much as they used to. I mean, they didn't really need it that much before. It was pretty valuable because of the lakes, but I mean, the most valuable thing is staying alive, not getting taken over by the blue country. So they start to lose grip of the area. It starts to become very thin axis, which will probably be easily breakable, like a string. So that's a problem. And another problem is the blue country is not stopping. They're penetrating cities, expanding, and are kicking the red country out. And then they come to here. It's a pretty big country now. And red country is starting to get a bit worried. Because this is like the central city. It's in the middle. Once they get past that midway point, is the road to the capital. So they need to do something. So they grab a large percentage of their people and station them right here. They couldn't get any people up to this city over here in time before the blue country splits the red country in half again. Back onto the green country. They're completely independent now. And now they can just kind of focus on themselves, because earlier they were just putting resources into this area. So now that they can just focus on themselves, they start expanding quite a lot. Start expanding more north, more east, more north, and they start to make the community centered around this area. You look at the red country and what's going on with them. They don't want to repeat that, so they just kind of focus around here, and they are so fastly developing that they're even going to put the capital city here already. So the reason that they can do this so fast is because the red country made this area pretty valuable. Just then, a lot of the capital cities start popping up around this area because they're all pretty big. And why do I say capital? and a lot of cities start popping up. Now, the reason why a lot of them are popping up at the same time is because there's loads of big towns here. The Red Country just didn't put the time in to make them big cities, because they're putting most of their money into here. Now this area has become the most valuable area. Now the Red Country is kind of wishing they kind of defended off the Blue Country from this area. So let's get back into the Civil War. The Blue Country starts sweeping up, and in the fastest time ever, take a big city. This is the biggest siege. Sorry, not the biggest siege. The fastest siege that has ever happened so far. And finally, the longest siege is finally finished. Oh, that hurts. The Blue Country start coming towards the capital, and the Red Country is now in a big panic. They had one ouchie. Now they've passed a massive army and killed loads of them. That's a second ouchie. The third ouchie is that they're going pretty fast to the capital and leaving no time for the Red Country to prepare and split them in half again. That's technically 4 ouchies. So they decide, man, they're just gonna let the Blue Country have all this, and they're just gonna give them this because well, they can't. Oh no, because it's pretty hard at the minute to supply a bit of your land that is outside of your own country. If you have like a bit of, let's say the Red Country had this bit, just ignore it going over. If I had this area, they couldn't supply it. I mean, they could, because they could just travel boats back and forth. It is a little harder because the Blue Country can just stop them, but it's a little bit harder to go around into the desert and supply them. So just kind of give it. And the Blue Country immediately starts working on this area only, which is basically the entire country. They focus more on the big cities. So they work hardest on these cities. Second, these cities, and this is the least important city. So they don't care that much about the city, just care mostly about these. So this city is getting ideas, especially with this one and all themselves. So hey, the blue country has its own ouchie. And now the Blue Country develops something called names. They decide that each country should probably get its own name. So they are gonna call the country scratch that. They're gonna call themselves World City, because they think the the world revolves around these couple of cities. So they decide to call themselves that. So, not that. Why? So that is what they're calling their country. So there we are. Also, another country wants to get in it. The green country. They really like the idea of naming themselves. So they name themselves Central Cities. Now the red country isn't really a fan of the names because, well, they were made by the blue country, which is, I should start calling them World City. World City made it, so they're kind of upset with World City. However, that was the original leader. The leader that's now in charge of the country is a different person. The original one, died. So the new one is alright enough to name the country. So they're gonna call themselves the Northern Empire. So now we can properly call our countries. One is World City. One is the Central Cities and one is the Northern Empire. Now let's get back to some wars, shall we? And it's not really warsy, it's just the Northern Empire going north. They have properly gone into this north thing for no absolute reason. They just want to. So they start putting more connections again with this area up here. And now the smaller, they can focus more on this. So they do start expanding around here, getting resources. But the main thing they want to do is go north. So they, go north. They start getting these islands back again. And they start trying to look for little lakes. So they officially claim this lake. They go up here and claim this one. So around here. And then that's all they can do. They've ran out of resources again. So they do expand this little bit out. And this little bit. But apart from that, they've run out of resources again. And can only really expand around here. So they do. The more really into expanding down here. Because they know Likey Desert. So they start expanding around here. And this is where they properly form their country. And would you look at that? There's loads of major cities now. And you may be seeing one over here. It's probably the smallest city in the world. But they're kind of saying it is a city. So more people go up here. And, make it so they can actually go more north. So they do that. And it works. A bunch of people, mostly around here. Like, not around these cities. But more around this area. This area. don't say what that shape looks like. And actually, a few around here, not the city, around here, this is kind of appealing to them. So a lot of people from these areas start going to the this city. Now it actually becomes a major city, and the Red Country can finally put some resources into expanding. And expand they do. They look for little pockets everywhere. They find this major one, and they start putting a lot of resources into this area, because this is kind of like a station. So if you want to go up here, you would just pack your bags, go up to here, and then once you've done that, you can go up here to this lake. And they're planning to just do this the same for the other lakes, get higher up. However, they haven't found any of these lakes yet. I mean, they're very almost to this one, but yeah, not yet. For now, they just expand aggressively around this area, and the Northern Empire looks very weird looking. For now, let's look at World City. So, World City is pretty happy with themselves. Pretty happy. They do decide to expand a little to the desert. I'm just gonna take that layer off. So they start expanding more south. They think that this is an island. They're not getting any more information from the Northern Empire. So they don't know that there's more land up here, and that they're finding out that this probably isn't an island and probably a big landmass. They think that they will just go around here, go up here, and circle back like that. And they don't want to meet up with the Red Country, so instead of going that way, they just go down here. So that's what they think they're going to do. However, that will, obviously, you'll know there's more stuff up here, so they might misjudge where they're going. But for now, they just decide to expand. They are way more powerful than the Northern Empire, especially now, since they are more established, I would say. I mean, they can put time and effort into getting a name, so I'm sure that if they can do this, then surely they'll be able to expand down here more. So they do. Starts getting less big, and they stop it there. And they decided that we need more cities. We need to expand ourselves. We need to be better than these two. So a lot of major cities around this area. Quite a few up here. Place one here. Place one there. And put a few there. And put one there for like stop to get to these other cities. And especially this area is pretty rich. So this city isn't really needed anymore. But they keep it anyways. And this area is now probably the most important area in, well, everything that's discovered. So the Red Country, aka the Northern Empire, wants to do the same and start making their own major cities, especially this one and this one and this one. They put loads of effort into this and they are proud of it. In fact, the game pretty wealthy. Maybe from stealing some resources from down here with disguised costumes, but we don't talk about that. And so they managed to find this country and bridge out to it. Bit bigger though. They claim the entire lake. They some travelers said they found a massive lake, so they start going up here, but they kind of go the wrong direction because they're not very good with direction. They just took a wrong turn and now they're going more this way. And then they go this way and find it. So the people that are up here kinda told to go back down here. You are a very big idiot for getting your directions wrong. And they start going around this lake, but not claiming that much, because they are really starting to lose money, and then they lose all the money and go bankrupt. So they need to do something and get a wealthy area. Do you see what I'm hinting at? So they spent even more money claiming this area to reach the other country, and then they invade. Also, I didn't do this for the revolution because they didn't have any official land, but I'm gonna do a slightly brighter colour for the Red Country to show where the invaded land is and where the actual land is. So they start invading and they get to a major city. However, the Green Country was prepared for something like this. Not too prepared, but a little bit. So they start fighting back and push the Northern Empire back. And the Northern Empire isn't really liking this, so they start putting loads of troops up here, land here, and surround most of the Green Country's army and kill them all. They start surrounding this major city and threatening the capital. The Green Country really doesn't want to lose this capital, so they end up sacrificing this major city. In fact, they need to keep it so much that they're just letting the Northern Empire go around. I mean, of course, this army's fighting them, but I would say about 90% of the army is in the capital. I would say about 8% is in the other major cities, and then the remainder 2% is left fighting the front lines, which is kind of bad. So they kind of managed to claim a lot of land. And then they go bankrupt even more. In fact, they are experiencing another revolution. It is the Purple Revolution. Starts around the capital. They surround the capital, complaining to the leader that they need to stop this war at once. It's pretty popular. Once the news gets up here, they are very into it. And this becomes the kind of hub for the revolution. This is very bad for the Northern Empire, because their ambition is up here. The revolution is cutting them off. There's loads of valuable resources up here, not including here, which it is lots of valuable resources here. Since if this area kind of stop existing, they would lose all of this. And it does exist, but not in their hands. So exactly that happens. Revolution starts coming up here. Some of these major cities start revolting, and a lot of their claims start being unclaimed, since they kind of need to start fighting this revolution. The orders by getting through up here, landing up here, that's totally not a missed spot that I forgot to colour, and land here, ordering the retreat from the lakes to fight the revolution. And it's kind of a big retreat, very massive retreat. And then it turned out it was unnecessary, because the purple country takes all of it. In fact, the area that's remaining surrenders, because they have no more resources. It's starting to spread a lot around the capital. Takes 2 major cities and cuts the Northern Empire in half. They start threatening another major city. They start coming up here, and they connect with the little bit up here. So back in the green country, this is very good news, since the little army of 2% and the little army in this little city start pushing back. And now an army with about 3% of the central city's army, only 3% of it, and they're fighting back a lot. In fact, all the army is fighting now. And that's not very good for you, Northern Empire. So the central cities start fighting back, get up to here, and this country is very beat up now. But all the new troops at the purple front line starts pushing them back. fact, they get the major cities back, and they push them up all the way to here, and then they can't push further. The purple country starts fighting back, and the central cities start expanding more into the Northern Empire. Now this is kind of very bad because they've lost pretty much all their access to Asia, and this probably the weakest country is absolutely obliterating you. So you're not doing so well. So you surrender to the central cities, you surrender to the Purple Revolution, and this is what they have to say. They just both all want all the land that you lost. The central cities were very against the revolution to get any of the anything around here of the bigger cities, because well, if this better country takes all these cities, then the central cities can't take advantage of you anymore. Kind of, the Northern Empire is kind of like, really? You want me to exist so you can blackmail me? Really? The central city's like, yeah, that's exactly why we want to keep you. So yeah, this is how the borders look, and this is how much everyone has, and this is going to conclude episode 1. If you have any suggestions of what future episodes could be, please tell me in the comments. I would love to hear them. This is just kind of like an experiment to see, you know, how I'd make my own Wixo. What inspired this was Ed's prose version, which was, I think, the first one. Big fan of his series. Please subscribe to him, and please subscribe to me, please. This concludes episode 1. Hope you have a nice day. Bye.